We've kind of got two stories going on at once here. If you're a West Ham football fan, you're thinking, well, this is potentially a very large £400 million bid, given some extra credence by the fact that it's backed by Rion Ujiri. And yet the crown jewel, the London Stadium, potentially could be repurposed and you lose that athletics track, which was a key part of its foundation. So politically, that, I think, will be very difficult for a lot of people to swallow, bearing in mind that it was taxpayer funded in the first place. In the last few minutes, Duncan, actually, we just heard from West Ham, and they say they want to reiterate that no formal offers to buy the club have been made yet, but this has been rumbling in the background for some time. OK, interesting update. Thank you very much, Martin. There has been a big increase in anti-Semitic attacks in the capital. Nearly 750 incidents were reported in the first half of the year, a rise of 51% on last year. The charity behind the research, which monitors anti-Semitism, says the violence in the Middle East led to even more anti-Jewish hate. As Sam Holder has been hearing, it's making some Londoners question their future here.
They started hurling racial abuse at us and swinging fists at us. It got really, really hairy.
Joseph and Alexander were viciously attacked in Marylebone during the middle of the day by complete strangers, targeted simply for being Jewish. So to be clear, this happens after you've had absolutely zero interaction with them whatsoever?
No, we're just two people walking down the street, eating a sandwich, minding our own business. Obviously, I've experienced anti-Semitism. I'm sure most Jews have on some low level. But this kind of, I would say, like visceral hatred, I've never experienced that before. That is something completely new.
Their terrifying experience was part of a wave of attacks against Jews in the capital. The most in the first 6 months of any year on record.
In a city, in a country that's been such a safe and secure place for Jews to live, it makes me question my future here. It makes me question my children's future here. Is there a future for Jews in this country? Because anti-Semitism is on the rise, and it's something that every Jew in the UK is aware of.
In the first 6 months of this year, there were nearly 750 anti-Semitic incidents in London, a rise of 51% compared to last year. This was one example, a convoy driving through North London caught in Israel and Palestine. Every time there's a flare-up in fighting in the Middle East, it's mirrored by a flare-up of anti-Semitism in the capital. Random Jewish Londoners targeted for something happening 3,000 miles away. This is Golders Green in Barnet, the borough with the biggest Jewish population in the country. It's also the borough that's seen the highest number of anti-Jewish incidents. More than 260 between January and June. The Community Security Trust is a charity that provides protection for Jewish people.
Jews have long considered the state of anti-Semitism, of anti-Jewish hatred, to be a measure of the condition of society as a whole. A hatred that comes first against Jews will never stop at Jews. It will come against others in due course. So actually, everybody should be concerned about anti-Semitism.
For Alexander, it's already too late. He's decided to leave the country. The message from community leaders: to stop anti-Semitism, it must be called out, whether by friends, family or strangers. Sam Holder, ITV News.
Police have said the convicted terrorist Sudesh Aman was one of the most dangerous people they have investigated in the weeks before he was released from prison. Aman was automatically released from Belmarsh in January last year. He stole a knife from a shop and stabbed people at random on Streatham High Road just weeks later. The inquest into his death continues. A cyclist who died after a collision with an HGV in Holborn yesterday morning has been named as 41-year-old Dr. Marta Krawak. Her parents paid tribute to her today, saying she lived helping other people every day. She died on the way to her clinic in Clapham. And police have arrested 3 Londoners as part of investigations into the racial abuse of England's football players. Arsenal's Bukayo Saka and Camberwell-born Jadon Sancho were targeted online after the Euro 2020 final. To Tokyo now, and it was bronze for Surrey's Liam Heath in the sprint canoe final today. The 37-year-old defending champion managed to clinch third place after a slow start, and despite not being able to retain his Olympic title, he was very happy where he landed on the podium after a long and tough journey to the Games. Anna Geary has been to the Way Kayak Club in Guildford, where it all began for him, aged 10.
It could be the same again, and it's Duncan who takes the gold for Hungary.
The moment Guildford's Liam Heath came third in the men's 200-metre kayak single. Although he may have missed out on retaining the gold he won in Rio, he was delighted to secure a fourth Olympic medal.
Still kind of processing the race itself and how I performed, but I'm incredibly happy with walking away with a bronze medal. To add to my collection. But it will take me a little while to actually look back and watch the video in full, because I'm that kind of athlete that kind of doesn't like to see himself on camera.
Unlike 50 of his family and friends who gathered at the Way Kayak Club in Surrey especially to watch him on camera. The Tokyo final broadcast at 3:30 a.m. UK time. They could think of no more fitting place to come together, since this was where it all began for 10-year-old Liam, who developed his passion at a paddle sport day camp. His dad was among those cheering him on. He told me the result was not instantly obvious.
We all stood there and we were all like that for, it seemed like an eternity. And then when Liam came up, first of all, it's the Hungarian, then the Italian, and we were all sitting there, and then Liam came up third, and the roar, that went up in the crowd could have raised the roof, I think.
All the more special after a particularly tough training regime through the pandemic. With gyms closed, Liam scrambled to borrow equipment and set up a marquee in his garden. His wife, Emily, says it's been a difficult journey.
When things began to let up and they were allowed back into performance centres, the problem for Liam is, he trains on water, and it's winter and it freezes, and he wasn't allowed to go on training camps, because normally he'd go to the likes of South Africa or Brazil where it's warm and the water is not frozen, and so he was having to train through cracking the surface ice of the lake and getting icicles on his hand. It's not nice, and you could see it was pain. It really was tough for him to mentally push through.
Liam's next mental challenge will be in working out over the next few weeks whether he wants to go again in Paris. For now, though, he'll bring this latest medal home and celebrate with his loved ones.
Anna, there were so many successes, you couldn't get them all in your report, could you?
Absolutely. Dina Asher-Smith, she also made a welcome return to the track today. That was as part of the All-London lineup. That was in the women's 4x100 metre relay. Now, the GB team included Asher Phillip, Imani Lara Lancico and Daryl Neater. They set a new national record to win their heat and reach the final, which takes place tomorrow. They qualified in the fastest time ahead of the Jamaicans and the US, so that is definitely one to watch. Now, Team GB's youngest diver as well, Andrea Spendolini-Siriex, at just 16 years old, delighted with her Olympic debut, finished 7th in the women's 10-metre platform event, and she is the daughter of First Dates TV star who you'll know, Fred Siriex, and she said, "I'm so happy, I started crying, I'm very, very proud of where I came."
Oh, she's done brilliantly, and fantastic to have Dina Asher-Smith back. Anna, thank you very much. Well, in a few weeks, we'll be marvelling at the athletes competing in the Paralympics. But for many people with disabilities, some of the greatest challenges aren't in the pool or on the track. They're just trying to navigate everyday life back here. And of course, it's not just obvious disabilities, some are hidden too. That's something the broadcaster Simon Mosin has uncovered, and it's a very personal issue to her. Let's have a look at our programme.
I'd become a person with a hidden disability. I looked just fine, but I couldn't stand or walk for very long. I'd lose my balance and fall, and people would push and shove in the street and on public transport. Eventually, I just stayed home. I feared for the career I had worked so hard to forge.
Good evening, Saima. I had no idea about this. I've watched you for years reporting around the world, but actually, is it 6 years ago a Jeep ran over your foot in Jerusalem?
Yes, Duncan, thanks very much for inviting me onto the programme. 6 years ago, I was working in Jerusalem during the Gaza war, and my cameraman drove over my foot in a 2-ton Jeep. And at the time, actually, there were no broken bones, so there was huge relief. But actually what that meant was that there was extensive soft tissue damage. Eventually, it felt like it was bruised. And you can see, you're playing those pictures there of my Instagram account where I showed that I had to wear a boot for almost 2 years because it became so sensitive. I would feel a buzzing. I called it my spidey sense. But of course, as you say, nobody could see that. People didn't know what I was going through. And it's a pretty lonely place to be. And it's really tough. And I really wanted to kind of share that with people, and I'm really grateful to ITV Tonight and Multistory for giving me this platform to be able to go and speak to all the people who are experiencing invisible disabilities in silence, effectively.
So you've lived this, but what did you find surprising from all the people you've spoken to?
I think the most striking figure that I learned doing this programme is that 80% of disabilities, Duncan, are invisible. They're hidden. We can't see them. And that really, really struck me because obviously I know a lot about invisible disabilities. I did not know that. And we've tried to give people a range and idea of what people go through on a daily basis, whether that's Bobby, who really struggled to find work because of his autism, perfectly competent, and yet clearly there was some kind of hidden prejudice. You'll see his mother entered 2 CVs, and one came back with a response and a denial and a rejection because it said that he was autistic. There is Evie, who's been harassed on public transport, as I have been, being asked to get off the chair, get off the disabled chair. I really struggled to walk very far. So those disabled seats were a real lifeline for me to get around, actually. We have Christine McGuinness, who has 3 autistic children, and people take a look at her and her children and are very aggressive about the fact she uses a disabled bay. And really what that shows is that we do need a change in regulations and rules and laws. I think there has been a certain amount of change as far as visible disabilities are concerned, lifts and accessibility, but not far enough. But when we can't see it, then we really need to be a bit more understanding.
We do. Simon, it's going to be a fascinating watch on ITV tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Duncan.
Still to come, we'll have the weather, plus Knit 1, Pool 1. Tom Daly shows off his spectator knitwear and...
maybe ghosts are the universe doing that. Some people get chosen.
Swapping the charts for the stage, Lily Allen talks all things theatre. But first, when Gina Moffat was sent to Holloway Prison for drug offences, she thought her world had fallen apart. On her release, determined to turn her life around, she opened a small cafe in Tottenham. It was from there she witnessed the London riots of 2011. She says they shook the area. But she opened another cafe, which, along with food, provide much-needed local support hubs, allowing her to give something back to the community who have given her so much.
I'm a Tottenham local. I've lived here all my life. I love Tottenham. I breathe Tottenham. I ended up myself in prison. 12 years ago, I got released. I served a sentence of 6.5 years. I had an opportunity to run a flower business, what I studied whilst I was inside Holloway. So I became a florist. I never thought that would be possible for me. That chance came. The food side took over my floristry. The reason why I wanted the cafe more than anything to be able to employ ex-offenders and people who's coming out on release and stuff like that. And that's what I've been doing for the last 12 years. The riots took my surprise big time. I started to panic because it's just by the cafe, and I'm thinking, really? And I started thinking all different sorts. Oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? It was spreading like wildfire. I'm trying to get back to the cafe. Traffic was crazy. There's no way to get back in. Everywhere was gridlock. houses are getting burnt down. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like, no, this can't be happening. And I was getting angry in the sense that why would you want to destroy your home? So I started, trying to enable people to be a shelter at the burning ground, to say I'm here, just offering people teas and coffees if there's anyone wanted to come and sit in, or just didn't want to be, no one had no shelter to go to. We was there to be that shelter. Yeah, Tottenham has changed a lot because right now Tottenham is so expensive. Every day it seems we lose what made Tottenham Tottenham. A lot of the businesses are closing down, and that is, hard. I'm going through a battle right now with myself and my business to say, do I shut up shop? Tottenham has lost a lot from the riots.
Rubbish weighing the equivalent of 157 double-decker buses was collected from London's parks last year. The Royal Parks have released these images today to show the impact of litter on the capital's wildlife. Volunteers say taking the time to clear away even the smallest piece of plastic could save animals' lives. Back to the Olympics then, and as Max Whitlock returned home to Essex, bringing with him a pommel horse gold, he became Britain's most successful gymnast ever. Now a 6-time Olympic medalist with 3 world titles, the 28-year-old says there could still be more to come. Katie Barnfield has been at the South Essex Gymnastics Club today as they celebrated his glorious return.
A hero's welcome for an Olympic champion. Back in Basildon, Max Whitlock came to visit the club where he trained up to take the gold. After showing off a few skills, there may have been 1 or 2 people wanting a picture.
How does it feel being back? I mean, I saw you out there taking the time to take a picture with absolutely every person who asked for one.
Yeah, it's amazing to be back. I get amazing amounts of support from this club and all the kids, and hopefully this can have a huge impact in terms of them wanting to start gymnastics they've done already, but obviously keep it up and keep enjoying what they're doing.
He also shared some tips with the next generation of gymnasts here, and they could hardly have a better teacher. His pommel horse gold in Tokyo taking him to 6 Olympic medals. He's now the most successful British gymnast of all time.
Was there a moment where you were like, I've got this?
No, I think that's what's hard. With sport, you're talking about tiny margins, so you can never I never go into any competition expecting a result or anything like that. As I'm going through the routine, I'm just literally thinking, right, I just go for it. And I think, when you're doing that routine, it was the highest difficulty level routine I've ever competed. I couldn't believe I managed to pull it off the right day, the right time, and the right moment. So, yeah, it feels incredible.
Perhaps his biggest fan, though, is his 2-year-old daughter, Willow, who surprised him at the airport on his return from Japan. Because of all the coronavirus protocols in place this year, like isolating in a team bubble before the Games, he had to spend more than a month away from his family.
It was a long time. Willow's so young as well, so to see her running through with her arms out like this, it was pretty cool.
What next for you now? A rest, surely?
Definitely, yeah. I want to just take some time off, spend time with my family, spend time with everybody. When I feel ready, I want to be itching to come back in, fully motivated. When that time comes, I'll be back in the gym.
And if his previous performances are anything to go by, when that happens, there will be plenty more to look forward to. Katie Barnfield, ITV News.
From gold medal gymnastics to gold-threaded jumpers, Tom Daley has captivated crowds at this year's Games. As if his winning dives weren't enough, he's added another string to his bow with an impressive knitting sideline. Amani Ibrahimi weaves the story together.
So I finished the jumper, and here we are.
After impressing viewers in the pool, his knitting skills might have just blown fans out of the water. Those who watched the Olympics may have noticed Tom Daley being handed bags of yarn as his teammates competed. Well, if you're wondering what he was up to, the anticipation is finally over.
This says Tokyo, we've got GBR, we've got Union Jack and Team GB.
The 27-year-old won the Olympic gold medal he'd been waiting for in the men's synchronised 10 metres platform.
So here it is.
And to preserve that special victory, he's even made his medal a little pouch to keep it safe. From tea cosy holders to a crochet toy and even knitted hats for his partner and son, the talent is endless. The diver credits the hobby for helping him cope with the pressures of the games.
The one thing that has kept me sane throughout this whole process is my love for knitting and crochet and all things stitching.
It isn't all just for fun though, as he hopes it'll help him raise money for the Brain Tumour charity after losing his dad to brain cancer in 2011. So far, nearly £8,000 has been raised. His incredible performance in the Olympics will no doubt be one he'll always remember, and surely with this cardigan, how could he ever forget? Amani Ibrahimi, ITV News.
He'll need a Mac when he gets back here. Here's the weather now.
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Good evening. Well, despite a dry, bright start, it's been clouding over. We've seen rain moving in, and it sets us up for a fairly unsettled few days ahead. So scattered showers, very much the order of things, quite breezy as well. But there will be some sunshine, and where you see that sunshine, actually feeling pleasantly warm. Now, today's rain has now just about moved away eastwards. Behind it, for the rest of this evening and tonight, we'll have a mixture of clear spells and scattered showers. One or two of those showers on the heavier side, but moving through quickly on the breeze, and the breeze in turn keeping the temperatures up lows of 14 or 15 degrees. Tomorrow morning then, sunny spells and scattered showers from the word go. More of the same into the afternoon. Some of those showers on the heavier side, maybe even the odd rumble of thunder. But sunny spells continuing in between, and highs will reach a fairly pleasant 23 degrees. But as we head through the latter part of tomorrow and overnight into Saturday, you can see low pressure very much in charge up towards the north there. And as a result, we'll continue to see a feed of showers moving our way. So a pretty unsettled picture through the course of the weekend, but hopefully as we head through Sunday and Monday, we'll see fewer showers, more in the way of sunshine, still on the breezy side though, but temperatures a little bit of a recovery there.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
It's good news for hay fever sufferers. Grass pollen season has now ended. Still some weed pollen out there, but levels over the coming days will generally remain in the low category. Do take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.
And finally, she's sold more than 5 million albums worldwide, won countless awards, and her song Smile has been streamed more than 57 million times. But now Lily Allen is earning critical acclaim of a different kind on the West End stage. She's starring in supernatural thriller A Ghost Story, and she's been speaking to our reporter Helen Keenan.
She's had 5 million albums sell worldwide and performed her music to many more. Now Lily Allen is swapping one stage for another and says it's the most nervous she's been.
It's been amazing. I'm, utterly terrified all the time, but it's such a buzz. The adrenaline rush that's kind of going on in me all the time is pretty intense.
So how does performing on this stage compare to performing when you're singing?
In pop music, it's just an extension of yourself and your personality, which is relatively easy, I think, and people can't mark you down on being yourself.
So is this music on the back burner now then?
No, gosh, no. I love writing. I couldn't not write. That's what I live for and what I think about before I go to bed and when I wake up in the mornings.
Maybe Ghosts of the Universe doing that. Some people
making her West End debut in 222 A Ghost Story at London's Noel Coward Theatre. The play tells the story of a woman who fears her house is haunted.
The piece itself is so suspenseful and scary and very, very funny in equal measure. So it's a sort of perfect collision of reasons to come to the theatre.
And also, you get the chance of seeing me try to get up off of a beanbag without showing the front row of my knickers.
I think you did that quite well.
There's a lot of jeopardy involved in that, but you're doing well, I think, so far.
It's been a busy few months for Hammersmith-born Lily. She got married in Vegas to Stranger Things actor David Harbour and got into character for her role as a teacher in the play by homeschooling her 2 children.
How was homeschooling?
Oh my goodness, I am so glad it is over. I can't even tell you. I knew that I wasn't the sharpest tool in the box, but it was really hammered home over the last year and a half.
Lily has a fellow Londoner starring alongside her, Jake Wood, best known for his role in EastEnders, the soap he left in lockdown.
This is my first job back since leaving as Max Brannan. Yeah, that was an incredible job, incredible time on that, incredible 15 years. But yeah, just really excited to be back on stage.
And there'll be plenty of time to catch them treading the boards. The performance will be at the West End for the next 12 weeks. Helen Keenan, ITV News.
And that is it for now. Lucrezia is coming next with the evening news. We're back tonight after news at 10. Until then, have a good evening. Bye-bye.